Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So, yeah, it's been a long time, been 5 years since my live chat with Tommy Tallarico regarding the new Intellivision. Now, I totally didn't even realize it's been that long. It was actually a comment on another video that someone made saying, "Hey, it's your 5 year anniversary coming up of that video." And I was that was the very first YouTube video actually to be released about, talking to Tommy Tallarico about this new Intellivision. In fact, I was on the Facebook announcement because I got an email from someone saying, "Hey, I know you're into Intellivision and there's going to be a new Intellivision." And I thought, what is he talking about? And he said, I follow this guy, Tommy Tallarico. Uh, Here's a link to his Facebook page. They're going to be doing a live Facebook thing. Just the initial announcement that a new Intellivision was going to be coming out. And I was obviously very curious, and I wanted to jump in and watch this thing and see what's going to what's happening here. And so after or during the I guess the live thing, I was chatting away, going, this is cool. I'm an OG Intellivision fan. I love the old system and yada yada. And then Tommy, he was like, "Oh, hey, Brian's Man Cave." And so afterwards, I said, "Hey, I do live chats. Would you like to come on my channel and talk about it?" And I first didn't think he was, going to do it. I was thinking it's not going to happen. But then he's like, "Sure, let's do it." And so I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And we did. Now, it almost didn't happen because he couldn't, the software on his computer was malfunctioning or something, I don't know. And he couldn't get the connection to work. And then, but he switched over to his cell phone, so then we were able to get it working then, and the interview happened. Now, I wanted to do this video kind of as a, let's see what's happened in the last, 5 years since this thing came out. And, just my thoughts on it, because, I hardly ever talk about this system. I've talked a little bit about it. I've had the, the odd video. It's a topic that is just, it's all over the place. I mean, there are fan groups that have been around since the beginning. There are people who are just kind of against the system. There are people who are against Tommy Tallarico. There's people who've moved from one side to the other side. There's people in the middle. I've been watching a lot of the videos, the people that go on there. It goes up and down. I find that once in a while I'll log in and I'll look on my featured list on YouTube and I'll see nothing. I'll see nothing as in nothing about the Amico. Maybe one video. And then other times it just blows up. Like an announcement gets put out, an email gets put out, the test consoles get sent out to certain people. And now all of a sudden it's back in the, everybody's feed, everybody's talking about it. And, sometimes I wonder, are people doing that because they just want clicks, or are people doing it because they really are concerned, or they just, they know people like the content? I don't know. But anyways, I've always reserved myself as, I don't really know. I don't really know what's going on with this console, other than what I hear from other YouTubers. The very vague emails you get from Intellivision Entertainment, I don't really have much to say. So I don't really want to get out there and start making my own content, trying to think that I know what I'm talking about. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of go through some key parts of this video just to see how it compares to where we are today. So let's do that. I'm just going to click on this piece here.
The Intellivision thing, a few people, have made some videos on YouTube, and they're like, "Oh, Tommy, hey, we like the guy, but boy, he's stupid. Like, he's making a huge mistake. No one cares about Intellivision, and who the hell under 30 even knows what Intellivision is?" And they're
Yeah, and so that was obviously the first impressions, and I know that even Pat and Ian from the CU podcast brought that up. A lot of people, their first impressions were, yes, this is an old brand. I mean, Intellivision, unless you grew up with it, you're not going to know what it is. There's a lot of people today that still don't know what it is or what it was. You say Atari, they know Atari. Intellivision, unless they had one, or their uncle, or whoever had one and they played with it. But even then, it's so far in the back of their brain. So I can understand that, yeah, we wouldn't have known that, this thing could actually drive an audience. But I think that was also, he expected that. Like, there is parts in the video where he does talk about he understands that. I'm not sure if it's this part here.
The whole entire point of what we're doing here. Look, I'm not naive. I know that a lot of people in the world don't know the name Intellivision, and that's fine. It's not about we're not creating a retro box here like the Chameleon tried to be, or like the Atari is going to fail to be. Little jab there at Atari. My friends at Atari. But
Now that's kind of funny because the Atari VCS did come out. I know at that time, I think when we were doing this, it was still kind of in the works kind of a thing, but the VCS eventually did come out. I still am not really sold on it. I don't know much about it. I mean, I know people who are talking about it, and from what I gather, it's like a PC in a box kind of thing, and it just never really appealed to me. But I mean, I got friends who love the thing, so whatever. I think he actually also talks a little bit more about it.
But and to be clear, I actually hope Atari succeeds. I really do. I hope the VCS comes out and it's great, and it succeeds for the main reason that I want there to be a reignition of the original console war between Intellivision and Atari. So of course.
And I don't think that that'll ever happen. Even when if the Amico ever does see the light of day, I mean, it's a win or if scenario here. A lot of people say it's not. I mean, it's 5 years and we still don't have it. So I can understand why people are going to say it's not coming out. Even the most recent announcements made it sound like, yeah, it's not coming out for a long time now, or maybe not, who knows? I mean, it's still all kind of in the wraps.
Again, let's be fair. I totally understand why people would initially criticize us. To say, well, what are you, stupid? Like, Ouya failed, Chameleon failed, Atari isn't looking good, whatever. And your name is like less than all of those. So you're really gonna fail, dumbass. Let me address the major differences between Intellivision and the other three that I just mentioned. And they are all super important. So the first thing is that we're different from all of those is that we are not, I repeat 100%, I give everyone my word of honor, we are not crowdfunding.
Okay, now this is another thing that kind of sparked a lot of controversy, and it's been a key talking point in a lot of videos that I've seen. The crowdfunding, and I know that is a big thing, and I personally don't fully understand how crowdfunding works. I mean, I get the gist of it. You put something out there, people start giving you money with the hopes that something's going to happen and they're going to get a product. I've never really dove into that. I've heard people say they've gotten burned by crowdfunding things, Kickstarters and all that other stuff, and then there's others who are completely happy with it. Now there's the case of, did they actually end up doing crowdfunding? Because there was, they did the pre-order kind of thing. They were asking for money for the pre-orders. I think he kind of says that they were not going to do this.
Okay, so I don't want to ask anyone, any consumer, for their money until they have had a chance to play the console and to play the games, right? What a concept! Imagine that. So for all the people up at arms, all I ask is, you know what? Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind, because we're not asking you to give us money for a system that you can't play. The others did. We're not.
Okay, now another thing that happened was they boxed up some, I guess what they were calling physical media, and I don't know how many. I can't remember how many were in there. It was like a box of games. I think you might still be able to buy it. and it's got like an ID card in there, and a chip card or something like that. You have to register, blah blah blah. Those were sold because I know a lot of people have them. I know I see them all the time. You know, Smash JT I think bought one. The Atari Creep has it. Pat the NES Punk bought it. It's a physical thing. You can't play them, but and there's no console that has been officially released to play them on. So I think what he's saying there, yeah, this is why people were getting upset. You know, and there was also I think there was another thing that was set up that kind of considers it a Kickstarter style of thing, that they were starting to ask for money, and then it kind of flopped. You know, they kind of stopped it. I don't fully understand. Again, I'm not a professional on this Kickstarter stuff. I don't know. I just saw that there was something going on. All of the YouTubers went mental and were like, "This is crazy. This is not. You're doing Kickstarter crowdfunding, and you said you weren't going to do that." And then they were kind of coming back saying it's not. So I don't know. I mean, it just. I understand in the beginning this was his plan, but obviously somehow it derailed, and things changed a lot. I mean, obviously he's not even the CEO anymore. We have a new CEO for Intellivision. I don't know where Tommy is. He's kind of gone. You know, he's doing something else right now. But I whatever. So then at some point, I know we were talking about the controller. We were kind of comparing the Wii. I remember talking about the Nintendo Wii, and of course, this also became a big talking point. Was his comparisons with the Nintendo and the new Intellivision console that he was going to be producing. And so I know we did talk a little bit about that.
I'm living in
Well,
front
I
of
can
right
tell
now.
you this. I can tell you one of the things about the Wii and the controller is that the controller is great for, you know, like simple and for non-gamers. But the reality is that for hardcore gamers, you know, it wasn't as precise as, you know, as some of the controllers that the hardcore gamers are used to. So we're addressing all of that with the new Intellivision controllers, where it's going to be very simple and easy for people who've never played a video game to pick up and understand immediately. It's not going to have massive buttons. It's not going to have things jutting out of it and grips that you have to hold. It's going to be very exciting. We're going to be showing it in October at the Portland Game Expo. This is a Brian Cave exclusive right here, Brian Man Cave exclusive, that we are going to be presenting the keynote address.
So yeah, I mean, the controllers have also been another hot topic on whether people really are going to like the system and what they've been thinking. And I know I've seen a lot of videos on this. People are analyzing the controller. They're analyzing the footage of what they see. They're saying there's delays. They're saying, you know, the people that actually played it are saying otherwise. They're saying there isn't delays. And, you know, I remember this being a back and forth topic for quite a while, and how it compares to the Wii. A lot of people are just saying it's pretty much the same thing as the Wiimote, you know, other than the fact that it's got the disc in it. And of course, it does harken back to the original Intellivision controllers, which a lot of people were either on the fence with or hated. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people that like the old Intellivision controllers. I did. I never had any problems with them. But I've talked to a lot of other gamers who say otherwise, who say they're crap, they're garbage. I mean, people are even making newer controllers today for the Intellivision because they want to be able to play the games and not use the controller. So it was always a hit and miss topic on this one as well. And then at one point, I know we were talking about some of the games that are going to be coming out and what his visions were on where we were going to be taking the system.
And I'm assuming, you know, like that's probably because it's a very difficult thing to do, right? Is to
Well, you know,
manufacture the hardware.
the thing is, the thing again. So I was starting to reel off all the differences between us. One of the other big differences is that we are very laser focused on what the machine is and what it is capable of doing. We're not trying to stream Netflix. We're not trying to do 3D graphics. We're not, you know, all of that stuff is aside because the most important thing, and I can't stress this enough, and I want everybody who can out there listening to this to really, I need to drive this home more than any. If you'll hear nothing else I'm saying, please listen and know that we know this, is that it doesn't matter what the machine is called. So people who are going off, oh, Intellivision, they're never going to sell any of those. Who the hell's ever heard of that? It doesn't matter about that, okay? Get that out of your mind. Forget that it's even Intellivision related at all, okay? That's just a cherry bonus on top because we've all been so passionate about the systems for our entire careers. But forget that for a second. People don't buy, listen, everyone, people don't buy consoles because of the console. They buy it because of the games. And this is what I will tell you emphatically, which makes us different from Ouya and Atari and everything else that came before us, is that every single game, every one for the new Intellivision is going to be an exclusive game. Let me repeat that. Every game is exclusive. We are not porting games. We're not porting mobile games. We're not porting old arcade games in the sense of that, we're going to be redoing some of the old games and some old arcade games, and we are going to release a list in October that is going to blow people away. They are not going to believe the amount of people that we have involved with this.
So again, this was another thing that I remember a lot of people talking about, and what he kind of said was true. I mean, there was the games that they were porting out. They were or not porting, but creating, or what were they doing? They were not. He said they weren't porting. They were kind of redoing, so reskinning, and I guess that's the same thing in my opinion. I mean, you are taking a game like the Fox and Forest game is, or Finnegan Fox is just Fox and Forest, but reskinned with Amico graphics and all that other stuff. So we kind of saw what was happening. I mean, the whole thing about mobile games, and that's another thing that I've been hearing all the time. It's one of the check boxes that people like to throw out there, is that what we actually have been manufactured is essentially a cell phone in a box. And it's interesting that in the last kind of email that we got from Phil Adam, is that there's a potential, or they're looking towards releasing these games out into, say, the mobile world. They're going to create an app. They're going to, license them off to other consoles. Like, there's all this talk now about, yeah, the console is not the focal point anymore. It's now the games, and we're going to just start to put it out this way. And I remember having conversations with some people saying, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Like, should they have done this from the beginning? Should they have just scrapped the idea of a console and just say, okay, well, we're not going to be able to make a console, or maybe it's just too ambitious. Let's just create the games first, get it out there, create the app or whatever, have some, original stuff to it that other consoles might not have. But I had other people push back and say, no, that wouldn't be a good idea because you're just you're competing with an oversaturated market of cell phone games. So it's very interesting how all this kind of has happened in relatively a short period of time. And in the last year or so, we started to see a lot of this stuff happening. So, and even I remember the first game that we all got to try was Moon Patrol, which was on a cell phone. I remember playing it on my cell phone. So that's where we are today, and it's it's 2023 when I'm filming this. It's 5 years after the original interview, and we still are only able to play these games in a mobile way. And so, I don't want this video to be too long. I mean, there's just so much out there. There's so many videos on this console, and whether it's going to come out, lots and lots of information. I mean, you could spend days just watching people's opinions and videos. But the last topic that I wanted to throw out there, which also has been a long controversial thing, and that is the console release date. Now, he did actually talk about this, which is kind of interesting how things have unfolded.
So, but we're getting to it, and that's why you'll never hear me announce the date of when the console is coming out. I refuse to say it, and here's why. And I'll tell you when it's not coming out. It's not coming out this Christmas, and it's not coming out next Christmas, okay? And that's all I'll say. And the reason I don't tell you the exact date is for the basic reason that if now, we have an internal date. Don't get me wrong. We absolutely 100% have an internal date that we're all working really, really hard to achieve. But if that date comes and the games on there are still not up to that super high quality, then guess what? I'm going to hold the system. I don't care.
You're not
I
bound to
won't release
it.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
No, we're not
Exactly.
bound.
You're not
In
bound
fact,
to a date.
I can take
'Cause
I,
the moment you put a date
I
up
can
there,
take a
people
whole
are gonna
other year. We can hold it a whole other year if we needed to.
Yeah,
That's the amount of
exactly.
funds and funding that we have.
So yeah, that's where we are. We are in 2023 now. It's been 5 years, and of course there's still no console. And there's been a lot of talk about that, a lot of discussion back and forth. I've heard things from it's Tommy Tallarico's mismanagement to funding to lack of interest, COVID-19, which obviously wasn't a thing yet when we were talking. Um, well, I can definitely say threw a wrench in their plans. I think it threw a wrench in everybody's plans. But we still got things like the Atari VCS that came out. There was what's that little handheld device with the crank? That thing came out. So I mean, you can use the COVID pandemic as a that kind of did throw a wrench in the plans. But I don't think that was 100% the reason, anyways. I don't think that it's just simply a COVID thing or a chip shortage. Obviously, there was, a lot of talk about the games and getting the games to work. In fact, the most recent news that has been circulating is that the consoles are being sent out to a select group of people. Nobody seems to know who these people are. Well, I don't mean any of them. I mean, some of them have made videos, but I'm saying that we don't know how many other people are being sent test consoles, and I don't know what they're doing with that. I don't know if they're testing the console or the games, but supposedly all these things are supposed to be done by now, anyways. So it is a little bit concerning. But anyways, yeah, like I said, I don't typically make videos on this console because there really isn't a console yet. It's a test console. It's been in production for a very long time. They have some games available. They've been selling off IPs to other companies and stuff. A lot has been happening, and it's just a wild ride. And I've been following along ever since the beginning. Now, I have to admit that it's the name Intellivision that sold me. Obviously, it's based off of a console that I grew up with, that I loved, near and dear to my heart kind of thing. And so, yeah, I was curious from the beginning. I'm what you call the retro gamer guy who's after the nostalgia. I don't really play modern technology or games like modern stuff like Xbox and PlayStation and all that other stuff. So, it's something that was right up my alley. At this point, are we going to get the console? Who knows? I don't know. I hear people say it's not going to come out, and I hear people say it's definitely going to come out. Tommy Tallarico, I don't know. I didn't know the guy from, when I first got the interview with him. I didn't know him. I had to research. I personally don't know the man. And I had the one conversation with him, and this was it. After that, he was in forums. He was showing up on Reddit. He was showing up on, he was all over the place at one point. People were doing videos all the time with him. He wasn't afraid to come out and talk. And, that was another thing. I would say he is a very energetic man, full of energy. Some people say, it's his personality, that he's very pumped and he's very excited about the console. Some people say he's just very narcissistic and he just wants to see himself talk. And he was a very, it wasn't easy to interview because I tried to speak and he would keep talking. And so I could tell he had a lot of passion in what he was talking about. But, it's definitely weird to have a CEO of his magnitude kind of thing talking to people like me when you would think it would be like a PR person and stuff like that. And of course, the whole thing about the funding has been a big concern. We did see in the very beginning that they put a lot of money into, say, The Office, and I remember that being a video topic for a while. That they were putting all this money into the offices and furniture and all that stuff when they're just a small time company, which probably should have just had a warehouse with some workbenches, that type of thing. Very little money should have been put into that versus the R&D, the development, the console, this and this and this, and testing. So that was another thing that just kind of circulated around. And the questions on where all that money went, and it's gone now, and all that kind of fun stuff. This has just been like I said, it's been a wild ride. I don't know where we're going to go from here. If this console doesn't come out, it doesn't come out. If the games start to kind of show up onto the market somehow, we'll have to just wait and see. But I thought it would just be interesting to go through the points that I talked about. Obviously, we're only halfway through the video here. There's another hour to go. So if you want to check it out, the video's still on YouTube. You can go check it out, watch the whole thing, find your little pieces of it, and kind of analyze it and see what happened, where are we, and where is it going to go. Anyways, let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. Hope you subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.